You want to know why most men are miserable, why they walk around with their heads down, drowning in quiet desperation? It's because they gave up. At some point, they looked in the mirror, saw the mountain ahead of them, and said, "I can't." And the moment those words left their mouth, they killed something inside themselves permanently. Giving up isn't just an action, it's a disease. It infects your mind, your soul, your future. You think the pain of pushing forward is bad. Try living with the pain of being a man who knows he could have been more but chose not to. Weak men suffer more, not less, because the world chews them up. Nobody saves them, nobody listens, nobody cares. And deep down they know it. You either suffer now with discipline or suffer forever with regret. That's the cost of giving up. And if you don't pay it today, you'll be paying it every day for the rest of your life. Pain is a constant. It creeps into your muscles when you train, it gnaws at your mind when you're awake at night, and it claws at your heart the moment you realize you're not where you thought you'd be in life. But here's a truth that too many men refuse to face. Pain is inevitable. Weakness is a choice. You can't dodge pain. It will come for you, guaranteed. You can't negotiate with it. You can't bribe it. And you can't delete it from your life. It's part of the deal of being alive. What you can control is your reaction. You can either bow down and whisper, "I can't," or you can stare it in the eye and roar, "Bring it on." When you see someone pushing through a workout at 5 a.m., drenched in sweat and heavy breathing, that's not them defying pain, that's them choosing not to be weak. Every rep they slam out is a declaration, "I decide my limits." Every surge of lactic acid screaming through their limbs is a reminder that they are alive, they are fighting, and they refuse to yield. Weakness would be to turn away, to step off the treadmill, to skip the set, to click snooze, and let another hour slip into regret. That choice is yours every single morning, and it's not just about physical pain. Life will slap you with failures, you'll lose money on a deal, someone you trusted will betray you, you'll face rejection, embarrassment, humiliation. Those moments sting. They bruise your ego, they shatter your self-image, they set you back from where you wanted to be. But here's where men separate themselves. Some collect those punches like trophies, learn from them, and return stronger. Others collect them like weights tied around their ankles, sinking deeper into the swamp of self. Pity, the pain is the same, the result is determined by your choice. Every time you decide weakness, you addict yourself to more of it. You learn that the path of least resistance is comfortable, so you keep coming back for it. You practice failure like it's a skill, and you get really good at it. You'll start to believe the lies you tell yourself. "I'm not cut out for this. I'm too old. I don't have enough." Those are excuses wrapped in deceit, designed to keep you small, to keep you comfortable, and to keep you weak. But the cost is your potential. Every excuse is a toll booth on the highway to your best self, and every time you pay it, you lose a bit more of what you could have been. Weakness is a choice, and making that choice trains your mind to accept failure as routine. You wake up one day and realize that you've built an empire of excuses. You look back and see all the hills you didn't climb, the words you didn't speak, the actions you didn't take. You feel the weight of opportunities that slipped through your fingers. And that regret is a pain far worse than any you've felt before because it's endless. You can numb muscle pain with a Tylenol, you can ease heartbreak with time, but you can't erase the knowledge that you folded when you could have fought. Every man walking around with his shoulders hunched, eyes fixed on the ground, is a man who let pain dictate his choices. He surrendered his power the moment he decided weakness was acceptable, but pain doesn't ask for permission. It's not a beast you can tame. It's an element you can learn to use. Like fire, pain can destroy, or it can forge you into something stronger. Every scar, every tear, every bruise is a mark of that forging process. It's proof that you faced the flame and didn't turn away. Refuse weakness at the first sign of pain, and you set a precedent. You tell your subconscious, "I am not a quitter." And your subconscious is like a loyal soldier. It will march behind you, pushing you forward when you feel you've got nothing left. You won't need motivation because your mind has been trained. You won't need a cheer squad because you've built your own internal one. Pain becomes background noise, and you become someone who moves regardless. You become the predator, not the prey. When life throws you into the ring, it doesn't care how many times you've been knocked down. It doesn't care if you're talented, well-educated, or have connections. All it respects is the man who stands back up again and again, and standing up means absorbing pain without letting it break you. It means turning every blow into fuel for your next move. Weakness is a choice to stay down, to nurse your wounds, to let the pain win. The alternative is to harness it, to feed off it, to use it as a springboard. So the next time you feel that ache in your bones, that hesitation in your mind, that urge to quit, remember that pain is inevitable. It's coming no matter what. What you can choose is whether you'll let it define you or refine you. Weakness is the easy way out. It's the dead end, but strength, true strength, is forged in the fire of pain, choice by choice, and every time you choose strength, you rewrite the story of who you are. Every time you quit, you're not just stopping inaction. You're sending a message deep into your subconscious that failure is acceptable. It's like carving a path for weakness to follow, and once that path is there, every future struggle becomes easier to surrender. You tell your mind when things get tough, I'll back down, and your mind listens. It tucks that lesson away and pulls it out at the first sign of difficulty, whispering, remember what happened last time, better quit now. And just like that, your ambitions, your dreams, your potential, all get shoved aside, labeled as too hard, too unrealistic, too painful to pursue. Imagine you're lifting a weight. On the first rep, it feels heavy, maybe too heavy, and you think about dropping it. If you do, you learn something powerful. I can't handle this weight. That belief sticks. Next time, even if you've gained strength, that memory surfaces before you even try. Your mind says, you failed before, why waste energy trying again? And so you never break past that barrier. But if you grind through the pain, if you force your body to finish the rep, your mind learns a different lesson. I can handle more than I thought. It recalibrates your self-image and your capacity expands. Quitting teaches your mind how to quit again. Persisting teaches it how to persist forever. This principle doesn't only apply to the gym. It governs every battle in life. Starting a business, learning a skill, standing up for yourself, facing rejection, or pursuing a relationship. The instant you give up on a goal, you're instructing your mind to treat that goal as off limits next time. The moment you decide something is out of your reach, you lower your standards. You train yourself to settle for less, to avoid discomfort, and to prefer safety over growth. That's how weak men spend their lives, choosing comfort, memorizing excuses, reinforcing a narrative of defeat. And the more they practice that narrative, the more real it becomes. Failure isn't the enemy. It's information. It tells you where your limits are, but quitting empties that information of value. It transforms lessons into confirmations that you're incapable. Every I can't is a brick in the wall between you and your potential. That wall gets higher, stronger, and deeper with each quit. And before you know it, you're trapped behind it, wondering why success feels impossible. It's because you've built a fortress of excuses, and you're the one holding the key. Real men see failure as feedback, not a verdict. They see quitting as theft, stealing opportunity, growth, and confidence from themselves. They know that every time they push through resistance, whether it's an extra mile on the run or an uncomfortable conversation with someone who matters, they're staking a claim on a stronger version of themselves. You want to be unstoppable? Decide that quitting is off the table. Refuse it at the instinctual level. When your body or mind screams stop, you respond with not today. That response becomes muscle memory, a reflex that bypasses doubt and drives you forward. It's not about blind persistence, though. It's about intentional resistance, knowing when to adapt strategies, yes, but never surrendering the goal itself. You might pivot, you might learn, you might rest, but you don't wave the white flag. That flag symbolizes permission to fail forever. It invites your mind to take the easy route, to chase short-term relief instead of long-term victory. Winners don't accept that invitation. They treat quitting like a poison, something that threatens to infect everything else in their lives. Think about the last time you backed out of something you wanted. Maybe you decided not to speak up in a room full of people, didn't apply for a job you wanted, or stopped pursuing a passion because it got hard. That moment didn't just end an action, it rewrote your story. It whispered that you're not cut out for more, that you should stick within safe boundaries, and every day since, that whisper grew louder, echoing in your decisions. Until one day, you look around and realize you've been living someone else's idea of who you are, built on the ruins of every quit you ever made. Stop rewriting your story with acts of surrender. Every time you feel like quitting, remember you're training your mind in that very moment. Ask yourself, what lesson am I teaching myself right now? If the answer is to quit, then you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of regret. But if you refuse to let your mind accept failure, if you decide that no matter how much it hurts you'll keep moving, you're forging a new identity, one where quitting is impossible because you've never given yourself the chance to do it. That's how you build a legacy of winners, how you write a life story framed by relentless pursuit and unbreakable will. The world punishes the weak. It doesn't care about your excuses, your tears, or your sob stories. It doesn't hand out sympathy medals. It doesn't say, he tried his best, so let's make his life easier. That fantasy gets sold to you in school, in media, and by soft people who want to drag you down to their level. But reality doesn't care. It operates on results. You either win or you don't. You either perform or you get replaced. You're either strong enough to carry your weight or you get crushed under it. That's the truth, and the sooner you accept it, the sooner you stop making excuses and start making progress. Weak men think the world owes them something. They think because they had a rough childhood or because life has been unfair that someone somewhere is going to come and rescue them, that some hand is going to reach down and lift them out of the pit they're in. But here's the hard pill. No one is coming, no cavalry, no safety net. The world isn't your mother. It's not built to comfort you. It's built to test you, to challenge you, to see how much you can take before you break. And if you break, it moves on without you. No pause, no pity. Strength isn't about being invincible. It's about refusing to collapse when everything around you is trying to make you fold. You get fired from your job, so what? You get dumped, cry about it on your own time, then get back in the game. You get sick, you fail, you lose, the world doesn't stop. Bills still show up. Opportunities still vanish if you're not prepared. Competition still rises. That's the grind and weakness. It just adds weight to the load. You think life is hard now. Try going through it weak. That's when the suffering begins. The weak man wakes up every morning in a body he's ashamed of, with a mind full of doubt, trapped in a life he quietly hates. But instead of fighting, instead of clawing his way out, he just accepts it. He tells himself lies to make it bearable. It's not that bad. I'll start tomorrow. I'm doing my best. But deep down he knows he's folding under pressure life hasn't even fully applied yet. And that knowledge, that private, suffocating awareness that he's not who he should be, that's the real punishment. It's not coming from the outside world. It's coming from within. That's the kind of suffering that never goes away. You want to know why the world rewards strength? Because strong men build. They take responsibility. They protect. They provide. They produce. They don't ask for handouts. They earn everything they have. And when things fall apart, they don't run, they rebuild. The strong man gets respect not because he demands it, but because he commands it by the way he moves through life. Every action, every decision, every result, it all speaks for him. He doesn't have to scream for attention or beg to be heard. The world listens to those who back their words with power, but weak men, they beg for validation. They try to guilt trip others into accepting their failures. They look for people to blame: the government, their parents, their exes, the economy. But blame is the weapon of the powerless, and the more you use it, the weaker you become. That's how life punishes weakness, not through dramatic disasters, but through quiet erosion. Year by year, you lose your edge, you lose your fire, your standards drop, your dreams shrink, until one day you wake up surrounded by the crumbs of the life you could have had. The truth is, life is a battlefield, and every man is in it whether he likes it or not. You can't opt out. You can't hide forever. You can pretend to be peaceful, but the world still hunts you, still tests you, still throws you into the fire to see what you're made of. So you have two options: Harden the hell up and fight back, or stay soft and get stepped on. And believe me, the world never runs out of boots. It will crush you while smiling. It will bury you with bills, breakups, betrayals, and setbacks, and it will expect you to handle it. Weak men crack, strong men endure. That's the difference. That's why weakness is punished, because it makes you prey, and this world belongs to predators. Giving up once is like removing a brick from the foundation of your resolve. You think it's just one brick, one momentary lapse, but that single act sends a shockwave through your psyche. It whispers that surrender is an option, that discretion really is the better part of valor, and that your dreams aren't worth fighting for when things get tough. The next time you face a challenge, maybe it's a new project at work, a relationship that needs salvaging, or training for a race, you won't see that challenge neutrally. You'll see it through the lens of your past retreat. Your mind will replay the scene where you folded, and it will urge you to avoid doing all that hard work again. Suddenly, quitting doesn't feel like a failure. It feels like a habit, one you've practiced before and therefore can slip into without much thought. Every time you choose to step away, you reinforce the idea that maybe you weren't cut out for it. Your inner voice gathers evidence. Remember last time, you tapped out when you could have pushed through one more rep, one more paragraph, one more mile. That voice gains confidence. It grows bolder. It starts suggesting softer goals, ones that won't push you as far. It tells you to set the bar low so you don't risk another moment of discomfort or discouragement. And you start listening, because it's easier to follow a voice that comforts you in your weakness than one that challenges you to transcend it. It's a slippery slope. The first time you quit, it's a mistake. The second time, it's a pattern. The third, it's your identity. You become the guy who never finishes, the woman who always has a reason to stop trying. And every unfinished project, every abandoned goal, adds weight to your regrets. They pile up like dusty trophies in a cabinet you're too ashamed to open. You start avoiding mirrors, avoiding people you used to respect, because you're haunted by the questions they might ask. How's that goal going? Or did you ever finish what you started? Your own eyes become your harshest critics, reminding you daily of the promise you broke to yourself. By contrast, those who refuse to quit once build an entirely different narrative. They learn that discomfort is not the enemy, but the gateway to growth. They find strength in persistence. Every time they face doubt or fear, they stare it down and choose to move forward anyway. They don't wait for motivation or inspiration to strike. They understand that execution requires action, not emotion. They honor their commitments because they know their word to themselves is the most sacred contract they'll ever sign. When you stick with something despite the urge to run, you're not just completing a task, you're training your mind. You're teaching yourself that quitting isn't a viable strategy. You're rewiring your confidence so that it's rooted in action, not in the ever-changing landscape of your feelings. Feelings are fickle. They come and go like waves, crashing down with the lows and lifting you up with the highs. But the decision to persist is steady. It's a lighthouse in the storm. It doesn't depend on the weather. It simply stands, shining its beam to guide you back to your purpose. Think about the last time you stuck with something when every fiber of your being screamed to give in. Maybe you sat down to work on an important report even though your head was pounding. Maybe you went for that run in the rain when you could have stayed home in bed. Maybe you opened up to someone despite fearing rejection. In those moments, you made a choice. You decided to honor your future self over your present discomfort. And that choice, small as it seemed at the time, reshaped your story. It proved that you can rely on yourself when it matters most. It told your subconscious that you're unbreakable, and that message is recorded into your character. Once you've tasted that feeling of pushing past a limit you didn't think you had, you begin to crave it. You start chasing moments that test you because you know that's where you'll find growth. You trade the fleeting satisfaction of giving up for the enduring pride of perseverance, and each victory accumulates. They build on one another until you're not just someone who finishes, you become someone who conquers. You discover that your potential was never fixed. It was waiting for you to claim it, rep by rep, step by step, word by word. So remember, Giving up once is not a harmless slip. It's an invitation to surrender again and again until there's nothing left of your ambition. Refuse that invitation every single time. Make quitting impossible by embedding persistence into the core of who you are. Decide that when the world tells you to stop, you'll take one more action and then another and another. Before you know it, you won't even see giving up as an option. You'll see it as the only thing missing from your vocabulary, the only thing that could betray you, and you'll never let betrayal in. Real suffering isn't the burn in your lungs when you sprint that extra mile, or the ache in your muscles when you grind through one more set. Real suffering comes later, when you're alone with your thoughts and you replay every moment you could have pushed harder, but chose comfort instead. You think the pain in the gym or the pressure of starting a business is the worst part. You're wrong. That pain is temporary, like a storm that rages for an hour and then clears. Regret is the endless drizzle that soaks into your bones and never stops. It's the whisper in your ear at 3 a.m., reminding you that you quit when it mattered most. That's the suffering that breaks men because you can't outrun it. You can't lift it off, and you certainly can't excuse it away. Every time you let fear of discomfort dictate your choices, you store up regret like a debt you'll never pay off. You skip the extra study session, you scroll your phone instead of working on your side hustle, you decide that tomorrow is always a better time to start. Tomorrow becomes today becomes never, and your future self wakes up in a world less vibrant, less challenging, less you. That's not an abstract idea. It's a reality millions of men face. They carry the weight of regret in their chests, and it squeezes the life out of them bit by bit. They look at other people's lives, the ones who refuse to quit, and they hate themselves for not having the courage to join them. Struggle, on the other hand, is honest. It tells you exactly what you're made of in real time. It tests your limits, shows you where you're weak, and gives you the opportunity to grow. You can measure the progress, faster times, higher weights, bigger paychecks, stronger relationships. Struggle is the raw material of excellence. You know when you've given it everything because your body trembles, your mind protests, and your spirit fights back. Then, when it's over, you're stronger, wiser, and ready for more. The struggle ends and you're left with pride in your chest and confidence in your step. Regret never gives you either of those gifts. Think of someone who never wanted to risk rejection. They never spoke up, never asked for that promotion, never admitted how they felt. Years later, they find themselves in a cage of what-ifs. What if I had asked her out? What if I had taken that job in another city? What if I had put my work out there? Each question is a razor that cuts deeper than any failure ever could, because those memories aren't about what happened. They're about what never happened. They're ghost scars, reminders of chances that slipped through your fingers while you were busy making excuses. When you embrace struggle, you embrace life. You accept that every worthwhile goal demands sacrifice, and you find meaning in that sacrifice. You learn that pain is a teacher, not an enemy. You recognize that the mark of a man isn't how comfortable his life is, but how many times he chose discomfort over ease. You welcome the grind because you know it's shaping you into someone who leaves nothing on the table. And at the end of the day, even if you didn't hit your target, you have no regrets because you fought with everything you had. Regret is a parasite that feeds on untaken action. It multiplies in the dark corners of your mind, gnawing at the edges of your self-worth until there's nothing left. It turns once hopeful men into hollow shells, wandering through days that blur into each other, each one as gray and meaningless as the next. They've traded the possibility of greatness for the safety of mediocrity, and now they're trapped, wondering how life became so empty. You don't have to be that man. You can choose to chase the struggle, to seek out challenges that scare you, to pursue those dreams that make you tremble. You can choose to risk failure every single day, because every failure brings you one step closer to mastery and a lifetime free of regret. If you want to make sure you never know the true weight of suffering, then refuse to let regret into your life. Fill your days with struggle instead, hunt for it, chase goals so big they terrify you. Push your body until it protests, push your mind until it begs for relief, push your spirit until it trembles. Because when the struggle ends, you'll stand victorious, and regret will have nowhere to hide. You'll know the thrill of having given everything you had, and you'll move forward with the confidence that comes from knowing you never let yourself quit. That's the only cure for the suffering of regret.